Hi students, welcome to lesson number 24, Communalism in India. The rising trend of communalism and the accompanying violence have created a feeling of insecurity among the religious minorities and ethnic groups. Muslims and Sikhs in particular fear discrimination and confrontation in the days to come. This may be a fear, but the nation cannot afford to let about 1/6 of the country's population to fall victim to panic, suspicion and insecurity. The events between 1984 and June 1997, Kashmir, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Gujarat, Assam, Andhra Pradesh and Delhi give ample evidence for the destructive outcome of the communal virus in its varied forms. Muslims, Sikhs and other religious minorities in India are protected by the Constitution, which provides for the existence of perfect justice, tolerance, equality and freedom. But for the past few decades, religious fundamentalism, intolerance and narrow-mindedness has increased in various parts of Indian society. Therefore, to prevent damage to the peace and integrity of the nation, there is a need to analyze and debate on the problem of communalism, communal violence and social tensions in India. The specific objectives of this lesson are: number 1, to discuss the concept of communalism; number 2, to discuss about the causes for increasing communal tendencies in Indian society; third one, to discuss about the prescriptive measures to check the communalism in India. Now let us discuss about the concept of communalism. Communalism is an ideology which states that society is divided into religious communities whose interests differ and are at times even opposed to each other. The antagonism practiced by the people of one community against the people of other community and religion can be termed communalism. This antagonism goes to the extent of falsely accusing, harming and deliberately insulting a particular community, and extends to looting, burning down the homes and shops of the helpless and the weak, dishonoring women and even killing persons. Communal persons are those who practice politics through religion. Among leaders, those religious leaders are communal who run their religious communities like business enterprises. Communal is not one who is a man of religion, but one who practices politics by linking it with religion. T.K. Oman has suggested 6 dimensions of communalism. They are assimilationist communalism, welfareist communalism, retreatist communalism, retaliatory communalism, separatist communalism and cessationist communalism. Assimilationist communalism is one in which small religious groups are assimilated or integrated into a big religious group. Such communalism claims that scheduled tribes are Hindus, or that Jains, Sikhs and Buddhists are Hindu and they should be covered by the Hindu Marriage Act. Welfareist communalism aims at the welfare of a particular community, say improving living standard and providing for education and health of Christians by the Christian associations or Parsi associations working only for the upliftment of the Parsis. Such communal mobilization aims at working only for the members of one's own community. Retreatist communalism is one in which a small religious community keeps itself away from politics. For example, Baha'i community, which proscribes its members from participating in political activities. Retaliatory communalism attempts to harm, hurt and injure the members of other religious communities. Separatist communalism is one in which one religious or a cultural group wants to maintain its cultural specificity and demands a separate territorial state within the country. For example, the demand of Mijos and Nagas in northeast India, or Bodos in Assam, or of Jharkhand tribals in Bihar, or Gorkhas for Gorkhaland in West Bengal, or Vidarbha in Maharashtra. Lastly, cessationist communalism is one in which a religious community wants a separate political identity and demands an independent state. A very small militant section of Sikh population has demanded Khalistan, or some Muslim militants demanding independent Kashmir were engaged in practicing this type of communalism. Of these 6 types of communalism, the last 3 create problems engendering agitations, communal rights, terrorism and insurgency. Now let us discuss about the features of communal rights. A probe of the major communal rights in the country in the last 5 decades has revealed that, number 1, communal rights are more politically motivated than fueled by religion. Even the Madan Commission, which looked into communal disturbances in Maharashtra in May 1970, had emphasized that the architects and builders of communal tensions are the communalists and a certain class of politicians, those all India and local leaders out to seize every opportunity to strengthen their political positions, enhance their prestige and enrich their public image by giving a communal color to every incident and thereby protecting themselves in the public eye as the champions of the religion and the rights of their community. Number 2, besides political interests, economic interests too play a vigorous part in fermenting communal clashes. Number 3, communal right seems to be more common in North India than in South and East India. Number 4, the probability of recurrence of communal rights in a town where communal rights have already taken place once or twice is stronger than in a town in which rights have never occurred. And 5th one, most communal rights take place on the occasion of religious festivals. Number 6, the use of deadly weapons in the rights is on the ascendancy. Now let us discuss about the causes of communal violence. Different scholars have approached the problem of communal violence with different perspectives, attributing different causes and suggesting different measures to counter it. The Marxist school relates communalism to economic deprivation and to the class struggle between the haves and the have-nots to secure a monopoly control of the market forces. Political scientists view it as a power struggle. Sociologists see it as a phenomena of social tensions and relative deprivations. The religious experts perceive it as a diadem of violent fundamentalists and conformists. After independence, though our government claimed to follow socialistic pattern of economy, but in practice the economic development was based more on capitalist pattern. In this pattern, on one hand, the development has not occurred at a rate where it could solve the problems of poverty, unemployment and insecurity, which could prevent frustration and unhealthy competition for scarce jobs and other economic opportunities. And on the other, capitalist development has generated prosperity only for certain social strata, leading to sharp and visible inequality and new social strains and social anxieties. Those who have benefited or have gained have their expectations soar even higher. They also feel threatened in their newly gained prosperity. Their relative prosperity arouses the social jealousy of those who fail to develop or who decline in power and prestige. The efforts of the government to solve the problems of the religious minorities arouse intense resentment among those prosperous sections of the community who are in numerical majority and who have achieved economic, social and political power through manipulations. They feel that any rise in social scale of the minority community will take and threaten their social domination. Feelings of suspicion and hostility on the part of both the communities continuously prepare the growth of communalism. Particularly, communalism makes a ready appeal to the urban poor and the rural unemployed, whose number has grown rapidly as a result of lopsided economic and social development and large-scale migration to cities. The social anger and frustration of these rootless and impoverished people often find expression in spontaneous violence whenever opportunity arises. A communal right provides a good opportunity for this, but this economic analysis is not considered objective by many scholars. Some scholars have proposed a multiple factor approach in which they give importance to several factors together. 10 major factors have been identified as the causes of communalism. These are social, religious, political, economic, legal, psychological, administrative, historical, local and international. The social factors include social traditions, caste and class egos, inequality and religion-based social stratification. Religious factors include decline in religious norms and secular values, narrow and dogmatic religious values, use of religion for political gains and communal ideology of religious leaders. The political factors include religion-based politics, religion-dominated political organizations, canvassing in elections based on religious considerations, political interference, instigation or support to agitations by politicians for vested interests, political justification of communal violence, and failure of political leadership. The economic factors include economic exploitation and discrimination of minority religious communities, lopsided economic development, competitive market, non-expanding economy, displacement and non-absorption of workers. The legal factors include absence of common civil code, special provisions and concessions for some communities in the Constitution, the special status of certain states, reservation policy and special laws for different communities. Then the psychological factors include social prejudices, stereotyped attitudes, distrust, hostility and apathy against another community, rumor, fear psychosis and misinformation or misinterpretation, misrepresentation by mass media. The administrative factors include lack of coordination between the police and other administrative units, ill-equipped and ill-trained police personnel, inept functioning of intelligence agencies, biased policemen and police excesses and inaction. The historical factors include alien invasions, damage to religious institutions, proselytization efforts, divide and rule policy of colonial rulers, partition trauma, past communal rights, old disputes on land, temples and mosques. The local factors include religious processions, slogan raising, rumors, land disputes, local antisocial elements and group rivalries. And the international factors include training and financial support from other countries, mechanizations to disunite and weaken India, and then support to communal organizations. Now let us discuss about the prevention of communalism. The prevention of communal violence requires a check on the symptoms of tension building and tension management in riot-prone areas. The police has to identify riot-prone structures in state, districts and cities where communal riots take place frequently and keep a watch on the various polarity-based clusters of population in the city layouts. Clusters of polarity-based populations are not alike. A cluster can be predominantly fundamentalist or liberal or radical or a mixed one. Clusters vary in their occupations, behavioral patterns and response to leadership. Keeping a watch on individuals in different clusters and their militant tendencies and modus operandi is vital for the police to identify sensitive zones, common meeting places, targets of violence, insecure belts, hideouts and shelter places at the time of rioting. Tension management in riot areas requires working out indices in relation to intergroup conflicts. These indices are identification of tension building issues, discovery of group anxieties, treatment of issues and restoration of fractured status, negotiation, mobilization of functional group and stopping of rumors. Rumor management involves isolation of rumor zone, counterbalance, rendering rumor mongers inoperative and sensitizing public administration. Prescriptive measures to check communalism. Measures to meet the challenge of communalism and communal violence can be of two types, long term and short term. The long term remedies are, firstly, in initiating the process of decommunalizing the people at all levels, say by bringing home to them that communal assumptions are false, by explaining to them the socio-economic and political roots of communalism, and by telling them that what the communalists project as the problems are not the real problems and what they suggest as remedies are not the real remedies. Secondly, communalization of the state and of the political elite in power has to be checked because it leads to inaction against communal violence and covert or overt political and ideological support to communalism by the state apparatuses, including the media under state control. Thirdly, the communalization of civil society also needs to be checked because it leads to more communal rights and other forms of communal violence. People with communal ideas and ideologies pressurize the government to act in a manner which is always against the principle of secularism. The secular state or the secular party in power and the secular power elite many a time succumb to the pressures of these communal people. It is here that intellectuals, political parties and voluntary organizations can be most effective. Fourthly, the role of education, particularly emphasizing on value-oriented education both in schools and colleges and universities, is important in preventing communal feelings. Education based on traditional cultural ideologies can protect the young people from philosophies and ideologies of hate. Particularly harmful in the Indian context has been the role of the teaching of history. Communal interpretation of history, especially of the medieval period, forms the bedrock of communal ideology in India. Teaching of history along scientific lines in educational institutions has to be a basic element in any ideological struggle against communalism. Fifthly, the media can also prove to be significant in preventing communal feelings. Communal press can be banned and legal action can be taken against communal writers. Some immediate measures are imperative for containing communalism. Firstly, peace committees can be set up in which individuals belonging to different religious communities can work together to spread goodwill and fellow feelings and remove feelings of fear and hatred in the right affected areas will be effective not only in diffusing communal tension but also in preventing riots from breaking out. Secondly, the state has to plan and adopt new strategies in dealing with communal violence. India's experience in recent years confirms the utility of this step whenever strong and secular administrators have used or threatened the use of strong steps. Riots either did not occur or were of short duration. When the anti-social elements and religious fanatics and people with vested interest realize that the government is impartial and the police is serious in putting down communal violence with all the force at its command, they immediately withdraw from spreading communal frenzy. This also calls for non-communalizing law enforcement agencies. Thirdly, the role of media is immensely heightened during the course of communal violence. The fear and hatred can be checked if the press, radio and TV report the events in a way conducive to soothing the frayed nerves of people instead of inflaming the temper further. The media can contradict rumors in a sober manner. A careful restraint has to be exercised in reporting the number of persons of different religious communities killed or injured. Lastly, the government in power has to treat the extremist communal outfits as its immediate targets and cripple their capacity to disrupt law and order. Communalism is an ideology which divides the society into religious communities whose interests differ and even oppose to each other. The antagonism practiced by the people of one religious community against the people of other religious community can be termed as communalism. Indian society has experienced Hindu-Muslim communalism, Hindu-Sikh communalism and Hindu-Christian communalism during the post-independent period. The main reason for the communalism and communal violence is the increasing communal politics in India. Therefore, the government has to take some stringent measures to check the communal tendencies in Indian society. Decommunalization of the civil society, political elite and political parties is essential to check the communalism in India. Peace committees have to be set up in vulnerable areas to spread goodwill and fellow feelings among the people of all religious and diffuse communal tensions. Government in power has to treat the extremist communal outfits as its immediate targets and cripple their capacity to disrupt law and order.